His 2011 movie may have crashed and burned, but Green Lantern remains one of DC Universe's most popular superheroes. Had things not gone so wrong for that movie, it's not hard to imagine that Ryan Reynolds would have been standing alongside Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and Gal Gadot at last year's Justice League. Regardless, Green Lantern will get a second chance in 2020, but until then, his comic book adventures remain some of the most bizarre and enjoyable there are. A former test pilot who found himself in possession of an alien ring, Hal Jordan has been on some truly wacky and weird quest, though his abilities to overcome great fear and harness the power of will makes Green Lantern one of the bravest and most powerful members of the Justice League. Whether it's in outer space or on his home planet of Earth, Green Lantern has faced countless threats and overcome the strongest of foes over the years, resulting in some sort of controversial and sometimes borderline disturbing and hard-to-believe storylines. So here you will find 10 things you may not know about Green Lantern. But before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like button for more great content. Jack Black almost played Green Lantern in a comedy. Go easy on the Green Lantern movie because the alternative was even worse. Long before development started on the 2011 version, they started putting together a take on the character which would have been a full-on comedy. Transforming fearless test pilot Hal Jordan into a future store employee and all-around loser and slob, this Green Lantern would have used his ring to create an elf for his friend to have sex with and a condom to trap criminals in. Hal Jordan wasn't the first Green Lantern. The original Green Lantern was created in 1940. Hal Jordan didn't actually show up until 1959, when DC Comics decided to reboot the character due to poor sales. And Alan Scott has little in common with his successor other than the fact that they both have rings. His powers were magical in origin, and he gained them after discovering a magic flame, which gave him the lantern that enabled him to create images using the ring which came with it. Aladdin inspired Green Lantern's powers. A railroad engineer may have played a role in the creation of the original Green Lantern, but so did Aladdin. His abilities were heavily inspired by Arabian Nights, where the character is able to create anything he imagines, just like the genie can create any wish he's asked to fulfill. Batman painted himself yellow to beat him up. Green Lantern's main weakness for a long time was the color yellow. He and every other member of the Corps are literally powerless against anything that color. And while Geoff Johns found a clever way to explain that years later, Frank Miller's all-star Batman and Robin took this threat and used it to humiliate the character. In a room which was painted yellow, meaning he can't create any images, Hal is nearly killed by these two disturbing versions of the Batman and his sidekick, as they cover themselves in yellow paint and proceed to beat the crap out of him. There's been more than one human Green Lantern. Hal Jordan isn't the only human to have worn a Green Lantern ring, of course, and several other men have been served alongside him over the years. They include John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, and the most recent, Simon Baz. Each use their ring in a very different and unique ways, and they all have a fairly sizable fan following. John Stewart was so popular at one point that fans took to Twitter to protest the casting of Ryan Reynolds. This was because the only Green Lantern they knew was the African-American version from the Justice League Ultimate Animated Series. Hal Jordan went crazy and killed pretty much everyone. Another baffling storyline saw Hal Jordan completely lose his mind after Coast City was destroyed by Cyborg Superman. Convinced that he could bring everyone back from the dead by using the power of the Green Lantern Corps, Hal went on a killing spree and ended up wearing 10 rings at the same time. He has his own roller coaster. The Green Lantern is one of only a very small handful of superheroes to have his own theme park ride named after him. And if you ever pay a visit to Six Flags in New Jersey, you'll be able to try this out for yourselves. When the ride originally opened, it set world records for this type of coaster in heights, drop, speed, length, and a number of other things, so it's pretty much terrifying. Of course, it's basically just a green roller coaster, the Green Lantern. Jon Stewart destroyed a planet. For years, Jon Stewart lived with the guilt of being unable to stop the destruction of Akishi. Left close to suicide after his failure, years later though, this popular Green Lantern didn't hesitate to do what he considered was the right thing when he destroyed Mojo, who was a member of the Green Lantern Corps. Sure, Mojo had been corrupt and was being used to create waves of new killer Green Lanterns, so Jon didn't really have a choice, but once again left feeling pretty rotten. However, things ended up working out okay. Iron Lantern. During one of the rare crossovers between Marvel and DC Comics, their characters were combined to make new ones who borrowed elements from two different superheroes. That led to the creation of Hal Stark, the millionaire owner of Stark Aircraft. Badly injured in a flight simulator, he used pieces of an alien technology from a nearby crash landing to build a suit of armor which would save his life. The twist? It was powered by a lantern-like battery, which then gave him the ability to create images just like the Green Lantern does. Green Lantern and Wonder Woman were supposed to be a couple. In the 1970s, DC Comics had big plans to make Justice League member Green Lantern and Wonder Woman a couple. This romance obviously would have been dramatic and effect on the status quo of both characters, but it never happened. The reason for that is because the comic book publisher received a piece of fan mail which suggested the same idea, and legal reasons. The fan could have later claimed that DC Comics stole their idea. So that's our list for today. What did you think of it? Comment with your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content.